Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Krsna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Prasayate.
Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Krsna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Pura Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Pura Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasaya Te.
We will discuss this morning the meaning of responsibility. To be responsible, meaning to be accountable of what we're doing. So it is connected with the human form of life, meaning you have human form, all of us here. How can you distinguish a human? It is a life of responsibility and accountability that is different from someone who has an animal body. So that discussion we will discuss today is about, am I human or am I an animal? So that is the discussion that we can be opening our outlook, our vision, our understanding, because it's very important that we will be able to appreciate what situation we are in when we have this human form. Yeah? Because the animals, they are not responsible. Their focus is simply eating, looking for food and eating. Fighting, making puppies, or engaging in contact with, like a dog, just have many dogs and sleeping like the crocodile. Di ba? The crocodile sleeps for so long. Just sleeping. And the anaconda. You know the anaconda? You know this, you call here in Cubao, sabi na? Baksan. Di ba? Baksan. Baksan, di ba? It comes, ha? Hindi. I'm pointing sa, bagbaksan, murag duol sa bakus, di ba? Magkapos ka ba? So the human form of life, okay? So the question is, am I utilizing this human form of life responsibly? Or am I just wasting this human form of life? Because as we have discussed, this human form of life is a life of responsibility. So if we just engage in animal activities, animalistic, di ba? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, where is it connected with? It's connected with that form, that the living entity in that animal form, you know? But now let's discuss this. We are in this human form now. But the difference is we have this intelligence, if we have. Huh? And the mind, if we can see the mind, or we identify with the mind and the desire. So, the value of having this human form of life, it's connected with responsibility. It's connected with accountability. Because we're responsible for our action. And what kind of responsibilities should we be focusing? Will it be directed by the impulses of the animals? So if we just follow the poor impulses of the animal, eating, sleeping, mating, and depending, then we can distinguish ourselves, you know, if you are human or an animal. Because one time, I have these young kids, you know, your father, they called his son, kasi all his son, he has no daughter, all sons. And he's so, you know, proud to have male siblings. And they call them barako. Or in Bisaya, butakal. Di ba? That's their consciousness. That's what their father is trying to project to them. You must become like a pig. Yeah? So, let's talk about responsibility. In this human civilization, for example, here in the Philippines, yeah, there's an institution that is an institution that points to responsibility. And that responsibility is about protection and care. To protect and defend. Yeah? So they go to this institution, like PNPA, not NPA, PNPA. Yeah? Or, you know, they go there. They go to this regimen. They are oriented about discipline. Yeah, discipline. So the process that they follow, they teach them about discipline. Okay? But never it is pointed about the importance of having a human form of life. It is to protect and defend. So for example, after graduating, you are now a bona fide, you know, bona fide authority. And they give you a gun, you know. And what's a gun for? You know? What is the purpose of the gun? To defend yourself. Kasi when you see a gun, oops, policeman. Yeah? If you're a thief, oh, dangerous. Yeah? Not the gun. Maybe the person who's holding the gun. You see? So when the president of the Philippines tried to, you know, put sanity to this animalistic society, when everybody is dealing into drugs and all those, you know, perverts engaging in heinous activities, like, you know, raping, killing, and he tells his subordinates, those who should be implementing the law, because there are laws here, the law of the country, based upon the Constitution to protect us, yeah? So, when they are in harm's way, the president, our president, tells them, when you're in harm's way, somebody's shooting at you, killing you, and that person pointing a gun at you, shoot! Yeah? I'll be responsible for your action. Okay? Because you are guided by the law to protect yourself, to implement the law. But he said, but if you engage, in activities wherein it's contradictory to what you have, what do they do when they raise their hand? Pledge, They put their hand in the Bible, You follow the Constitution, to serve the country, for God and country, But if you do something that you begin to use the human form, the gun that you have, and just randomly kill people, then, ano sabi ni Duterte? Yawa ka, patsyunta ka. Di ba? Bahala ka sa imong kinabuhi. Di ba? So my point is this. I'll discuss here something that guided by our friend who cares for us. So this human form of life, we are in this body, we have senses. We have senses, faculties to see, to hear, to taste, to feel. We have these faculties, So, I'll read here Krishna's statement so you can be guided. So, this body is like, the senses you have, it's like you have this opportunity to utilize these faculties. These faculties to protect you, to guide you. So, how can we be guided? It's like a gun, It's a gun. You can protect yourself. But if you use the senses and you become desire-driven, the problem comes in. So I'll read to you what we should be achieving. That's why we discuss here the science of freedom. And it's connected with this human form of life, because this human form of life is a life of responsibility and accountability. Okay? So Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, first of all, when you're in the human form of life, you're given this opportunity to come in contact with understanding the truth. And when you, for example, this policeman, he goes to this institution that is the foundation, supposedly to protect the country, to protect the people from harm, okay? So he knows his situation. But here we're discussing now about you, the spirit soul, all of us. What state we should be in when we have this human form of life? Because we hear that this human form of life is the key to freedom, for liberation. Liberation from what? It is when one understands his responsibility. That's why, first of all, when you come in contact with Lord Krishna, the spiritual master, He gives you a process. So we can be able to see our situation. That the body that we have, these faculties, we can use this and be responsible, and be accountable now to use it to connect ourselves in harmony with what is divine or spiritual, transcendental to this material world. Understand now? Okay. So it teaches us about our essence, transcendental essence, substance. I will not use substance because we will have this anthropomorphic idea that we are matter, or elements. So we call it a different energy, life, transcendental, life. Life is life. That's the definition of the soul. Life is life. Okay? So when we understand this, we begin to ask this question. I am not this body, and how come I'm not happy and I'm experiencing suffering? No matter where I go, no matter what I do, no matter what I speculate with my own, in every activities I do, still, there's no real, substantial, profound conclusion, that yes, I am free. There's nothing more to be gained. Okay? Here it's discussed. Okay? The stage of perfection is called samadhi. When one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In the joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness. Okay? And enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth. And upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken. Even in the midst of greatest difficulty, this indeed is actual freedom. And from all miseries, freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Okay. Now, we now do understand that our life is a life of responsibility because we have this human form of life. This human body. So we can use it to become free, to become liberated. Okay? So the main factor that drives us, that we should be directing, is to be harnessing the mind. Yeah? Harnessing the mind and holding the rein of the senses. Yeah? Because if we cannot hold the mind and rein the senses, then we will always be subjugated and be guided by the three modes of material energy. Okay? How do the hunter catches the deer? Okay? So, he has this flute. Very nice sound. Yeah? Nice sound, And the deer, who moves stealthily, he walks like a deer. It's really cool. Nose doesn't move, So because he's always afraid someone will catch him or put him in harm. But because he listens to this sound, the sound, then he turns around and immediately he heard the sound and she looks, where is it coming from, where is it coming from? And the hunter is there, staring at him. And his arrows is pointed at him directly on his, bullseye. Then he turns her. The deer is dead. Okay? So why are we, in a truer sense, living dead? Because we use the faculty that we have in ignorance and direct the mind, which we identify ourselves to look for happiness. Okay? We are blinded. We don't see the truth. So, there is a process that the yogi is someone who understands, who is guided by a process of purification. So when you come in contact with the Supreme Person, by His grace, by His love, through His loving servant, He gives us a process so we can now purify our mind, our heart, to be able to understand that yes, I can use these faculties temporarily in my possession to be able to become free. Okay? So I'll read here Krishna's instruction. How we can become free. First, he gave us a situation wherein that is achievable, and when you achieve it, you experience there's nothing more to be gained. You're not shaken. Look, somebody who identifies himself as the body, you become attached to the form of this world. But this body is connected with time, with death. So, if you don't know who you are, your love is focused upon that body, and that person dies. Why do they cry, wailing? Why did you leave me? Why? Because they don't know. They abuse their senses, their mind, in focusing upon the world that is temporary, the world of death. That's why the living entity, us, although living, if we're ignorant of our true identity and we're focusing upon this world, then we become the living dead. Just like when you see the Z-zombies, yeah? Everybody's walking. What is their interest? Blood. I want to drink blood. Yeah? Diba? You see that? So Lord Krishna tells us, I'll discuss this just very short to point what is happening to us in this time and space, okay? Actual happening to all of us. We won't talk about, mysterious things, Let's talk, talk of the human beings muna, okay? One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with undeviating determination and faith. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires, born of false ego, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. So that's the point. The spiritual master gives us a process to purify us so we can now see ourselves, realize who we really are. Aham Brahmasmi, I'm life, transcendental, okay? Then we can now understand that this body, a yogi is someone who is in engaging in a process of freedom and liberation. So now he uses this body, his mind and everything to focus upon what will give him happiness and liberation. So I gave you the analogy of the deer that she heard the sound, she looked at the sound, she looked with her eyes because it's natural. Then tap, she's dead, he's dead. Okay? So all of us here, what shackles us, you know? The sound, yeah? So the spiritual master brings us God, the holy names, to purify us, connects our heart with what is sweet, okay? And purifies us from this ignorance. So, when you see, how do the hunter catch the elephant? You know, this bull elephant who's very powerful, you know? The hunter gets a beautiful elephant, puts it in front of him where he passes by. But in front of that, there's a big hole covered with hay, you know? So the elephant passes on. And then the lady elephant says, kick, 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 and she turns. Oh, wow, you know, with these eyes. Wow, you know, she's the one, you know? So she runs past, I want to get her, you know? Then, boom, he falls down on the big hole. And everybody's laughing, you know, ties him, you know, ties his hind leg and pulls him up. He's now in prison. Yeah? So that's what will happen when we try to be following the dictates of the mind, the false ego. False ego means you try to control, you try to dominate, you try to be God, to be the number one, you know? So, here in this world, for example, here in Madana, no? How do you see how the young boys get enamored by the young girls? Okay? No? Because they see with their eyes, they see through they hear through the senses, you know? So, when someone comes to Madana and is beginning to come to adolescent, you know, his attraction is not anymore playing Batman or Superman, no? Or cowboy. His interest is different. So he comes to Madana, you know. And the girls here, you know, especially those who are, you know, who are really thin, you know. And the game they play, you know, what's the game they play? You know, they come here really, you know, take care of their body, the hair is planchado, you know, with lipstick and stars and everything, and all the perfume, bench, they walk, you know, tsunami walk, adip, you know. And the young boy says, wow, you know, because he's using his body, his senses, his mind drives him towards that object, you know. She goes there, you know. Hi, you know, I'm Abraham, you know. How are you, you know? I like to be friends with you, you know. And then, in the beginning, it's not like that, you know. She just passes by, you know. Whenever she passes by, you smell her perfume. Oh, wow, a fragrant with your nose. Then you look, wow, she's a beauty, you know. And then she sings, you know, killing me softly with this song. Wow, you know, I like her, you know. But are you really seeing her? You're seeing her through the senses. Because you're following the dictates of the mind. The body is under the direction of, you're just a person sitting in this body, machine, directed by the three modes of material nature. Passion. You have this libido, you know. And then she passes by. You're just there, you know. You want to, because you're feeling, I'm shy. Not only that, you're afraid, what if I tell her my heart, you know? What if she just discard me, you know? You're no good, you know? Hindi ka pansinin, di ba? But whenever she passes by, you're staring there, and you look at her, and she says, because she does, all these tricks, you know, all the tricks, you know, she stumbles, you know, and then you're there, you know, she stumbles, you know, you're there, you know, as the gallant, you know, in shining armor, you know, you say, oh, she comes, you open the door, you know, her handkerchief falls down, but purposely, and you take it, you know, and then I'll just give it when she's alone. But what if your meditation is upon that form? Your heart. You use now the faculties you have. This responsibility of a human being to become liberated. Now you're stuck using this body, the senses. Just like a policeman, you know. He has this power, the gun. You have the power to make the choice. You know. To be able to see the divine, the person. But because you're blinded, and the young lady, you know, she's really cool, you know, because you think, and then she make a sign to you, you know. What's that sign? And then she says to you, you know, wow, she likes me. Immediately. Then you talk to her, you become attached to the sound. She sings songs, you know. Oh, and you hear that, like the cats here. And then, wow, nice sounds. What is all connected? In the evening, I used to hear the dogs here. Oh, 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 oh. What's that for? The male dog and the female dog, they're talking, discussing sounds, you know. The sound of the animal. Oh, it's about enjoying their senses, having contact. And the cat comes, you know, and the cricket. So my point is this. We must be with wisdom, and that wisdom is based upon the truth, our true transcendental identity, not matter, life. And this body we have is an opportunity for us to become free, to be liberated. It depends now on what we think, what we meditate. But if you identify yourself as the body and the desire and the false ego, what will happen? You'll be lost. You know? You're not even seeing the person. And the person relating to you, she's not even seeing you. Why? You look at her through your eyes. Your eyes made of matter. You're not even seeing her. You're not even seeing her. She's not even seeing you. But because you are both enamored, shackled, identifying with the senses, the desire, the mind, you know, you're trying, it's like, you're trying to relate, but you're not really getting through because you identify with the body and she identifies with the body. What happened is that you're dictated by your senses, by the desire. You know? So you're now shackled. You're not free. It's not true that you sing, you know, you sing this song, you know, na mga ginagawa natin, you know, you did it your way. No. Material nature, Maya, the forces of the mode of passion dictates you. Now you're enamored, shackled, just like this elephant. You know, just for example, here in Bukidnon, di ba? It's banned already because they have horse fight, di ba? You know that? But in other places, it's still apply. They do that. How do they? how do they enjoy the horse fight? They put there a female, horse. And then there's two horses, male horses, and they see, wow, I want her. And this guy, I want her. And the guy holds the female horses and walks her in the middle of the two male horses, Yung parang, look. You can have her. Look. And then what happens? You want, the other horse wants her, and the other horse, they fight. Yeah? They fight. So it's also like that. For example, you're so much in ignorance about your identity. Why? You look at the crime of passion. You know the crime of passion? You go to work, you get married, until death we do us apart, and then at the end of the ceremony, okay, the pastor or the priest said, okay, show your love, kiss one another, drink one other's saliva, okay? Suck each other's saliva, okay? And then you kiss in front of the people, yeah? Then your meditation is upon her. I have her. Then you're working. But because she's not understanding her identity also, she's not using the human form of life responsibly in connection with what is transcendental, So he's in the midst of all the animals, in the jungle. So somebody enamors her also because you're servant of the senses. Di ba? You're out, you think she's your property, you come home. Like, oh, there's another horse here. Enjoying the horse. Yeah? So you come home, you see your wife there with someone, out of rage and anger. What? Then you get the gun. If you're a policeman, you have this gun now. You kill them both. Then you cry. I love you. But the activity you did is completely contradictory to love. Because real love is you're caring, you're loving, you're compassionate. Why did it happen? Crime of passion. Because of this desire. I'm not saying you should allow that, because there are laws. You can file cases in court, by bigamy or annulment or whatsoever, file damages like what Tulpo does, No? But in this case, you begin to experience this because you think you own her, your breast belongs to me, no? I own you for my enjoyment because you identify yourself as a senses. So, false bodily identification and following the dictates of the senses, guided by the mind and desire, and the false ego, separated, not in harmony with your true transcendental nature, then you're born loser because you are always shackled you'll always be imprisoned. So even though you think you're free, you're in prison. So what is a yogi then? Okay? I'll tell you this. Why do we chant gradually? Why do we chant gradually? Why do we chant? Why do we practice? Why do we practice this process? To be able to be understanding our true transcendental nature and directing the horses, the mind. So we can become free. We become responsible because we have this human form of life. We are accountable for our action. That's why there is a saying, I was brought up in a Christian environment, as you sow, you shall reap. Yeah? Kung anong tinanim mo, yun ang ani mo. Or in the Vedas, the law of karma. A certain action leads to a certain reaction. Okay? Good or bad. Understand? That's why you always feel there's this golden rule. Don't do to others what you don't want others to do unto you. Yeah? And always honesty, respect. Yeah? How can we be in that situation when we are like an animal? What is an animal then? An animal, he eats, he fights, he make babies, and sleep. But what is a human being? You, us. It is an opportunity to use this vehicle, this body, to be in harmony with God. Because everything belongs to God. The problem with the false ego is that we think we own. We own. It's ours. There's an owner. So we study scripture telling us that everything here comes from someone, and that someone is a supreme person. And that supreme person is our friend. Everything he does is to connect us back to that world of responsibility, because it's a world of care. And what is that all about? It's about the world of love. So when you are in harmony with your transcendental nature, the statement that Lord Krsna tells us, being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This is indeed actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So we have studied the narrative of the lives of the devotees. They're never shaken. They're never wanting, because they come to the point, there's nothing more to be gained. Because their love is now directed in harmony with the Supreme Purifier, with the source of everything, living or non-living life. So when we have this knowledge, this purificatory process, God Himself, we can now understand, yes, my true nature is that I'm eternally the loving servant of God. I'm not master. I don't own anything. I belong to God. And when you are in this understanding, when your heart becomes purified, when you're now not desire-driven, you're living in the world of life. So who is a materialist or a spiritualist? A yogi. A materialist is a living dead, because his happiness is following the dictates of the senses based upon trying to find fulfillment in matter, which is completely different from life. Inanimate. We are animate, living. Different energy. So that's the problem. That's why when one is directing his love in this world, his meditation, there is a force that drives him. And that is unlimited craving for happiness. Because when one is misdirected, thinking is the body, the meditation is upon this dead world, and it's never satiated. That's why you're always frustrated. You're always angry. You're not detached. You're not the witness, because you identify with the source of suffering. So that is the purpose why we must become real yogi. Yogi means someone who is abiding with this true transcendental nature in harmony with what is transcendental to this miserable. And it comes through God's mercy, through the process of meditation, in gradual process of hearing and chanting the holy names. So that is the process. So if you want to take this path, this is what we will achieve. This is what we will achieve, okay? If you persevere, you follow, this is what we will achieve. What is perfection then? How can we be perfect while we are in this, encumbered by this human form, okay? The stage of perfection is called trance or samadhi, when one's mind is completely restrained from material activities by practice of yoga. Meaning, by nature, the living entity, us, active by nature, is now directed in activities that is connected with our true transcendental nature. Devotional, loving service to the Supreme Person. It transcends the false ego. What is false ego then? It is this lordship mentality that separated us. We are now in the wrong direction. We are now misusing this human form that we have, which could have been a vehicle to connect us with the Supreme Person. And what is that? It is the practice by using all the senses, the mind, and offering it through by following the guidance of God Himself, the process of devotional service. So what do we really lack? We have no devotion for God. And what is policy all about? It's about ourselves. I, me, mine. I'm number one. I'm the center of the universe. I am, in short, we're contaminated with this ambushes of God. We identified falsely for which we are not. Understand? So that we must be in clarity. So if you want to become free, there is an opportunity now to use this human form of life. To be in constant practice, using the senses, using this material energy, the mind, and directing it upon the guidance of God, who Himself who is the master, the controller of animate or inanimate. He owns everything. All what we have to do is to be in harmony with His will. Just like this policeman, he's given this opportunity to have this power, the gun. But because he's not in control of his mind, he's an angry person, he's lost his intelligence, now it becomes a mistake power. You have this human form, you have mystic power, you're divine, you can use this body. But if you use this body, then the great mystic power you have to distinguish between who you are, you identify with the mistake. Your life now is a big mistake. Understand? Is it clear to you? Kaya you don't blame anybody. You don't blame anybody. When people tell you, oh, don't believe them, you touch fire, you get burned. You ask yourself, if you're really serious about solving the problems of life, because we are all selfish, we want to be happy. But if your happiness is directed wrongly upon following the dictates of the mind, the desire to lord over material nature, what is all about attraction, the attraction of Maya? Because illusion is very powerful. Yeah? You identify with the body, you look, it's a conditioning, Have you seen a dog, for example? Have you seen a cockroach telling you, I love you? Yeah? No. But when you think you're the body, you're a human being, you think, I'm male. But now it's different. Because some people, their mind is, the desire of a woman. They have this material body, male, macho. But they're saying, but my heart, it's a gentle heart, And they try to project those people who are also not understanding. Dugong, berdeng dugo. These are all nonsense, This is an encumberment because the science is to be able not to follow the mind and the desire because it's matter. Your life. You're trying to model, it's like there's no substance there. It's like a bubble gum who's already chewed. You're trying to squeeze and this is a different energy. Kaya the young boy, that's why we discussed the hunter. So you think you're this body that you want to love, but you don't even understand that you're just the vehicle. And when you try to enjoy the body, it's not you really enjoying through the senses. You're not touching, you're not really relating to that. You're not the body, and you're trying to find happiness through the senses, a different energy from you, trying to, eat, lick, kiss, everything. And that person is also in that body, identifying herself as the body. It's like, it's like a masquerade, It's like a circus, crazy, So we should be with wisdom. That's why the truth will set you free. So you'll be able to appreciate God's love. That there is someone who loves us eternally. That what we see here is all His love and care. So what we should be following is the practice, the constant practice of purification. Then when it's perfected, we come to the point that Lord Krishna is telling us. It means you take the walk. Not hypothetically sitting down, just sleeping like here in the Philippines is one tamad, di ba? There's a guava, it's ripe already. It's just in front of you, And one tamad just, it's so hard, I'll just lay down there, open my mouth, put a stick, so my mouth is open, directed to that guava. And then you fell asleep. And the bird comes, the bat, take off that guava. You're there until the time you die, opening your mouth. So my point is this. It's just the beginning of our discussion because it is a path. Then I like to discuss a path that will give you freedom. I like to discuss something that's very important. What is initiation? Initiation is when you come to the point you're going to give your life to do the will of God. Okay? So He guides you. So it's meaning it's a serious matter. It's like going to a surgery because you give your life, meaning He will guide you. It's like going to the surgeon. You have this problem. You have this, you have to undergo surgery. But in this case, spiritual surgery. And the surgery is about taking off all the encumbrances that has covered you. Your meditation upon matter, the senses, the mind, the desire. Yeah? And the one who will guide you is someone who's free, transcendental. Okay? And you come to Him. But He will not take the walk for you. It's you who will take the walk. You will be the one to be on the operating table. Yeah? So you don't give and follow anyone who's not God. That's why it's very important that you give your life to none other than God. So if you, for example, fortunate enough to come in contact with that transcendental personality, the representative of God, and you put your life in His hands, so you undergo an operation because you give your life, okay? Now you're on the operating table, okay? And then you begin to see, He cuts off the surgeon, because, there's put anesthesia and everything, cut off, and then you panic. Wow, I don't want this place, but you're undergoing surgery to take out, the tumor, the disease, I don't like this, I don't like this, because when you're very sick, you have this tumor, on your throat, you cannot eat, the cancer, and when you have disease, you're really in an awkward situation. You're experiencing pain. You go to someone who'll take off that pain, surgery. So it's like that. You go to the spiritual master, you offer your life, then you undergo this surgery. Then when you're going surgery, he gives you instruction, don't stand up, just bear it, because we'll take care of you. We'll take it from here. No problem. Because God, the supreme protector, the spiritual master, is not different from God. You're in good hands. But because you panic and then you stand up while undergoing surgery, your intestines, you run. I don't want this place, I want to be with the living dead, You're afraid, baka your entrails will fall down, and then you go out and then you see this, yung bituka ng manok, baka yun na ibebenta, ba? You're afraid. You run. What happened? You die. So it's very serious to give your life to God. But that is a choice. That is the key when you are in harmony with His love. So, when we begin to become purified, we begin to see differently. We are not seeing the Supreme Person or the representative of God as someone who will punish us, who will, in retribution, if you don't want to follow His will, put you in jail or you do something horrible to you. It's not like that. you begin to see how you're being loved. That He has the patience, the compassion to guide you till you can walk. Just like a child, you stumble, the mother takes care of you. Stand up, kid. Develop your muscles. So what are you developing now, all of you here? Your material muscles. You must develop spiritual muscles. And that is the freedom of coming in contact with God. Because now, you have the spiritual strength to be guided by what is inseparable from you. Life for life, love for love. Before, you're so weak. You use the senses. What you develop are the spiritual muscles, the material muscles, and you're not the material muscles. And why do you develop material muscles? So you can be strong, you can be in control. So you can follow the dictates of your desire because you identify with the mind and the desire, because that will give you happiness. But in truth, that will be your, the last nail that nails you inside the coffin of this material world. So the spiritual master takes off that nail. Takes off that nail. That is the science we follow. That through constant practice, we can come to the point of freedom. So you have this human form of life now, this body. It's up to you. If you want to follow the whistle of the hunter, or someone who'll catch, you wanted to catch, when I was a kid, you know what we do? When I was a kid, I had a lot of friends. We tried to catch birds. Maya, It's really amusing. They call it Maya. Maya is illusion. So we're there. What we do, but you should not do that. We get, living Maya, and then there's this stick, and stick them there. So they die. So they're dead Maya now, dead. And the Maya, the bird, passes by, a lot of them, because we put them in front of the rice field, in the middle of the rice field. So all the Maya are looking for food. And we're there, You know what do we do? On that stick, we get this tar from this, ano ba yan? It's not langka. Ano ba yung isa kinakain natin, yung hinihiwa natin na ginagataan? What do you call that? Kamanse. So what we do, we chop the kamanse and get the tar. And then we cook it, if you're impatient. But actually, you can cut it, then there's the tar, it gets sticky, and then you get it, you chew it like bubble gum, and throw. And then you wrap it around the stick. Yeah, that's what we do. Well, it's a horrible situation, It's a very mean and cruel. So we're there sitting down, and we sing, the dead Maya are there, the birds, and we sing, all of us. And the Maya passes by, living birds. And they look at that branch and pull up their sisters and brothers, Maya, And they go there. We're there at the back. It's because we're hiding ourselves. We put this bush, so they won't see us. And they go there. When they touch that, my friend, another Maya, they touch it, they cannot get out. So we ran, catch them, put them inside the cage. So that's what happened when your meditation is upon this dead world. You understand? So if you're focusing your mind, your senses, and you're falsely identifying yourself as the body, then definitely your search for happiness will be a meditation upon this dead matter. Yeah? So you cannot sing Born Free anymore, You cannot do that anymore, So okay? Is it understandable? We can discuss more about this and the process how we must become really, really enthusiastic to understand more. Just like when a person is drowning, he needs air. But if you're not, you don't want to become, you're not interested in living, you just get drowned in this material world and be with the living dead. You become like the zombie, the zombies, that movie you see? The zombies, So it's like that. Okay? It is understandable. We should use this divine energy that is inseparable from us life. And we should not be using this mystic power that we have. The choice. You have mystic power because you're life. But that choice should be in harmony with the supreme mystic. So if you misuse this mystic power you have, the right choice to be in harmony with what is eternal, what is your true transcendental world of serving God, then you have mistake power. So what do? You live with people who you also use mistake power and they die together, live together in the world of death. Haribol, namaste.
Haribol Krishna. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namne, Ora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prastaya
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namne, Ora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Messiah
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Bhagwan Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda.
Bhagwan Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Vasudeva Bhakta.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna.
Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Guranga,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna.
Jaya Jaya Guranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guranga.
Jaya Jaya Shri Prabhupada,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya
Hari
Gurudev,
Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Shri Prabhupada,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Paramahamsa.
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Ora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.